Hey listeners, before we begin, I have some really exciting news. We just introduced another benefit for our subscribers, which is our very own Discord server. It's an awesome virtual space where Yes Also subscribers from all over the world can meet up and talk shop with each other, and it's already popping off. It's awesome. If you're already a subscriber, you'll have gotten an email from Supercast with the special invite link, and if you're not yet a subscriber, now is the perfect time. Jump into Discord, join the conversation, and nerd out with the rest of us. Welcome to Yes Also. I'm Suzi Barrett, and it is our 2-year anniversary. To celebrate, we wanted to do something extra special, so we're having our first ever panel discussion episode. Cackowski and Jason Mantzoukas need no introduction in the improv world, and if you haven't heard their individual episodes, I suggest you go back and listen to them. But for this occasion, the three of us sat down and we talked for 2.5 hours. The conversation is wall-to-wall hot takes and scene work philosophy and improv nuggets and favorite exercises to coach. And this is just the first half. Part 2 is also well over an hour, and that is available by becoming a subscriber at yesalso.supercast.com. Once you become a subscriber, you'll unlock all of our Part 2s, all of our Q&A episodes, and you'll get an invite to join our private Discord server. And like I said, it's a party in there. For those of you who are already subscribers, we can't thank you enough. It's truly because of you that we are able to keep this show going. And so this happy anniversary is to you. This is such a treat. Craig and Jason, you're two of our most popular guests. Happy second anniversary to Yes Also.
Happy second anniversary.
Happy second anniversary. I mean, to you, truly, what a feat. Incredible.
Thanks.
It has raced by.
Well, but it's our success is because of people like you. So thank you for your generosity and your knowledge and your vulnerable sharing and for supporting the pod.
Absolutely.
We're big fans as well.
A huge fans of the pod, even though we just found out off mic that Craig has not listened to the bonus material because he entered his email wrong.
Gmail.com.
Hey, Gmail is a con. Unsubscribe.
I entered mine as Gmail:/com. So similar. No.
Yeah.
You've been a long-time subscriber, but have never benefited from
You've been taking my $8 every month. So.
taking it. Yeah.
You keep saying that the second hour is a scam. It never even shows up in my box.
And it feels like in every episode, they're just about to start talking about me, and then it cuts off. So I'm going to have to delve into these part 2s.
Yeah, well, and almost every one of the Q&A episodes that you've missed is just about you.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the Q is queries about Craig.
Yes.
Yeah. Cackowski.
Yep.
That's what the Q stands for.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to start by just checking in with both of you. This is a rare opportunity because we are bringing back two people who have listened to each other's episodes and know each other's work. And so I can kind of be a moderator here. I don't have to just ask questions, but I want to turn it over to you two. Observations, thoughts about each other's episodes or anything that came up there or you have a notes app.
Oh, I have so much. Yeah.
Great.
I'm excited because I feel like it's a conversation that none of us came up in the same scene together.
Right.
None of us have overlap, really.
Craig and I overlapped
You
in
do.
He was my senior.
Senior,
he was
right? Yeah.
And then I was out shortly thereafter. I've been in LA sinz 2002.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you started in 2000, I think?
I started in 2000. Yeah. So we overlapped a little in Chicago. And then again out here, I took a class of yours at IO. But yeah, we kind of represent 3 different iterations of the UCB model as well. You knew them, Craig, coming up in Chicago, and then they went to New York, and you
Yes, no, I
had
feel
them
like
there.
they are, for you peers, I'm assuming. You guys all came up around the same time.
Yeah, I
Ish.
mean, they were seniors to me.
They were,
You know,
okay.
Ian and Adam were my first coaches on
Okay.
my first several Herald teams. Amy's the only one who's literally younger than me, but also started kind of a year after me in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But and I think Besser is maybe slightly older than me, but when you're already on the best Herald team, when somebody moves to town they are, several generations above you in your mind.
Oh, yeah. That's how I felt because they were all my teachers, and Amy and I are the same age. But I saw her very much as just like my guru, the person that I was like the most interested in hearing everything she had to say.
Was she amazing when she started, Craig? Like because you watched her kind of arrive on the scene.
Yeah. Amy and Tina, Faye. I don't want to drop names without
Turner?
Providing full context.
Oh, I was really hoping Turner took classes at
Tina Turner.
She's simply the best.
Simply the best.
They were on a team called Inside Vladimir, which was their first team, and it was like 7 white dudes and Amy and Tina, and it was the same dynamic, of like 7 men, 2 women. Maybe you would get 2 women on a team. More likely was 7 and 1. But the other guys were all very capable improvisers, but Amy and Tina just dominated that team.
I love it.
I felt like they did all the edits and initiations and all the support moves of like, I'm probably blowing up in my mind a little bit, but they were, immediately so connected with each other, and they were just leaders from the get.
Yeah. I love hearing that. Do you feel this is for both of you, but I think mostly for Craig, as we talk about like all these iterations, like UCB leaving Chicago, going to New York, coming to LA, do you feel like you've seen an arc of premise work changing over the years and evolving into something
Yes, for the worse, I think.
Talk about that.
In my mind, like I just feel like it's been so codified and so standardized now. And not to, obviously the teachers are great, the performers are great, and I think it's something that raises the floor considerably. When everybody is jumping into a show or a scene with the same goals and the same mindset, it eliminates so many of the ways that scenes can fail.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lowering of the ceiling also. And I think like hearing about like you responding to Glazer or Lutz, and just like the unpredictability of people. I feel like the unpredictability has been taken out a little bit.
It feels
in standardizing
more like,
it.
I agree. Like I feel like for better or worse, UCB popularized immensely a version of it that felt more like it's on rails. Or it's on rails for a lot of it. It's hard to fall off, but it also means you're not getting stuff that is truly surprising or truly disruptive in a lot of ways.
Right. I did a Herald show last year, maybe when new teams came out last year, and they have like mashup teams come and do stuff, or they have like historical teams come. And I got put on a team with Phil Jackson, one of the all-time geniuses. And he was sort of like the leader of the team. He would like put us together, and I was like, "What do you want to do for an opening?" He was like, "Let's just see what happens." And I was like, he's like, "Let's see what happens, and let's support the hell out of each other, and let's be willing to get weird and follow the Herald where it goes." And it was the most thrilling Herald I had done in probably like 15 years. It was just like we were grabbing onto this bull, and we were so present and really in it, and the show became a character in addition to us. And I was like, oh right, like so much improv that we do now, we are like on, like you said, on the rails. There's no bucking bronco out. You're not taming a thing together. You're not carving a path through the woods. You're just walking on a trail. You know where it goes a little bit, and it takes some of that thrill and that surprise
true
out of
sense
it.
of surprise and discovery, I think, which is so I feel like and forgive me if I'm just mischaracterizing where you guys are at right now, but I'm playing frequently, but not every week, with the same people, drilling down, getting better, learning each other better, iterating every show, learning more, and letting the shows take their own direction and following you down a thing. Like it's now, I might do a show with the same group once a month, and it feels a lot more like we're having a blast, but it can feel like we're skimming a stone across the surface, and that there is so much more to do and discover. But that to me felt like the period of my life when I was doing a show every week or multiple shows a week with the same group and we were really digging in.
Yeah.
You know, and that I don't get as much. It's harder to scratch that itch of like, oh, we're all populating this bowl that we're all now figuring out. The show is the thing we're figuring out.
Right.
You know?
Right. Craig, do you feel like you still have that unpredictability and surprise, or like I'm wondering if this is a function just of our age and like doing it over years and then backing off from the every week of it or what? Yeah. What do you feel?
Well, I do feel like the only way to get better is to scare yourself and to do things that kind of stretch muscles that aren't normally getting stretched. I think I'm better than I've ever been.
That's great.
But I'm not the most in shape I've ever been, if that makes sense.
I agree.
I'm very good at the thing that I do. And nobody's better.
Yeah.
And
at Craig Cackowski style improv. Like I've perfected that.
I spent years. I spent years trying to be New York's Craig Cackowski.
You can't. You don't have that train conductor voice, and you don't know the size of the hat for the object work. That
stentorian voice, that authoritative voice on stage.
But I feel like when I was in my late 20s, like I was in Baby Wants Candy. I was doing Second City. So there was some short form there. I was doing Armando. I was coaching and teaching teams. I was doing Harold. Like I was working every possible muscle. And I was diving into shows like completely fearlessly, like did not give it a moment's thought. And now I'm older, I'm slower, I'm more, I like what I do, but I also know that there's things that I'm not capable of in the shape that I'm in.
I get that. And I do this show called Mantzoukas and that's like a mono scene show. 2 people, 1 scene for like over an hour. That's the only thing. It's just got to be longer than an hour, the scene. And it's real time, no edits, no nothing. So that's it. And part of the reason I started it that way was because that felt like a genuine challenge. That felt like, oh, that would be hard. I bet that would be hard 45 minutes in, 50 minutes in to still be excavating the scene. And so that has been, like I only do it a handful of times a year, but that is the thing that is the challenge, that is like, oh, this is hard. I'm doing it usually with people that I don't normally do scene work with, I'm trying to make it difficult in a way, trying to make it feel like on stage I'm very much like, oh, I genuinely don't know what's about to happen right now, and that is pretty rare and very thrilling.
It's almost like a chef being thrown a box of new ingredients.
Or chopped?
There we go.
Yes, I've given myself a chop.
You've given it's improv chopped.
Improv chopped.
Or like, I've never cut a kohlrabi. I don't know how my peeler is going to work on this or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's when you say that you're not as in shape, are you're citing like just actual things that are like functions of aging, like our is that what you mean? Like our minds aren't as sharp of memory or quickness or things like that? Or
I mean that is part of it. Like certainly, like in the shape that my knees are in,
yes.
I'm not going to do some of the physical things.
I
now
tell people before shows I will not get on the ground because getting up will be distracting.
It takes forever to get back.
We lose all these great Cackowski and Mantzoukas blowjob scenes that we used to get for years. No more of those. But
nothing wrong with a seated blowjob.
Yeah. Yes.
I stand on my hands and do an upside downer. So figure that out. But yeah, it's so weird because now your experience level and your confidence and your comfort is probably better than it's ever been, but all these other things are degrading.
I mean, I also was thinking about just finding the right words at the right time and doing Zoomprov for a podcast, which I've done occasionally, and I'll do it occasionally if it's a friend and if it's something I think is going to be fun, but like just the slight lag and the lack of connection and my rhythms verbally are different than other people, and on stage that's not a problem because you see me
eye contact.
eye contact.
It's
you see
like,
me
that's it.
wanting to
Yeah.
talk, or you see me taking time to react, and the audience is into me. The processing is also part of the joy of live performing. But when you're doing a podcast over a mic, over Zoom, like,
well,
it's only
you're
verbal.
looking at a camera or the frame, and it's neither nor. Like, you're not picking up so many of the cues. You're not picking up, so you're not actually making eye contact, and that's the disconnect. That's where it feels like, oh, this isn't connected scene work. This is a fun presentational thing to do with friends or something like that. But it isn't the same thing as that's what I also feel this way about live streaming improv.
Yes.
I think and I know it's like a viable way to increase the financial gain on a small improv theater and all of that, but something about live streaming improv takes away the kinetic energy that's only in the room, because it's not just that we're making it up, but that it's that we're making it up in front of them, Yeah. And so that energy is going every which way, and to me it all dies at the camera, and to watch it from like your living room, wherever, to watch a shot of a show going on, that just feels so far removed from the magic trick that is improv. But I think this is a very old-fashioned way to think of things.
Well, go ahead, Greg.
The tech is a lot better now, with multicam, and the audio is good. If somebody in a small community who doesn't have access to the best work is getting it at 70% of its power that
Isn't
you would
that
get,
great? Yes.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with improvisers getting paid too, but
I love it.
Otherwise I agree with you.
No, I think
I don't
all
love
of
that
that's
it's out
true.
there.
Yeah, all of that is true, and I think it's perfectly valid. This is my old man improv kind of attitude, which is, oh no, this is special, one night only. It's very old fashioned of me to think of it this way, because I think you're right. If just a handful of people get turned onto it because there's a live stream of a great show, and they can watch it and share it and learn from it and get them and then pursue it on their own, then it's done its job. That's incredible.
It's almost like it has to be considered as totally different mediums or different things. Like, it's like watching a travel show versus going to Indonesia. It's like, for someone who can never afford or never like physically go, it is amazing that we have access through travel shows and through nature documentaries to see some of the corners of this fabulous planet we live on. Is it ever going to replace actually walking through the Grand Canyon or and I feel like this is the difference here too. It's like, it's a great way to help theaters pay performers more, and it's a wonderful way for people in all corners of the world to get access to performances and things. But the kinetic energy. Do you guys know, do you know that feeling of like playing darts on a regular dartboard versus when you throw a dart at a plastic, like computerized dartboard? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Do this and sometime in the next few weeks.
I don't even know what the second thing you're describing is.
Well, how bars now have instead of the cork board with the needle darts, there's digital dartboard.
Oh, this I've never seen. Okay.
Never?
I've never
maybe
seen
I'm
it,
describing it badly. It's
Can we stop recording and go
Can
do
we
this?
go to a bar?
Hey
everybody, we're back. We just went for 5 hours to a dart game.
You've never seen a dartboard with a light up scoreboard?
No.
And these have been around since I think the 80s. There's
Greg and I don't go to a lot of dart bars. Dart bars. That's a Bob
Dart
Duca.
bar.
Hey,
look who decided to show up.
I'll see
dart
you guys at the dart bar.
This is our dart bar, okay?
It's our dart bar.
Your car's parked in front of our dart bar.
You're gonna barge into our dart bar with your car parked out near the dart barn. Okay, so picture it's like a plastic. It's plastic and it has a 1,000 holes.
But it's
in
not
it.
a sharp point. Is that
Right.
the thing?
And
Okay.
it's a plastic rounded point, and you throw it and it lands in the holes of it.
Okay, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, and it does this. It does the counting for you, and it counts you down from 301 or whatever, so you don't have to write on a chalkboard.
Got it.
But so the majority
Computers, they're taking all our jobs.
this AI dart
darts.
bar.
My dad used to be a dart chalkboard writer.
So, but my point is, when you play on that, you throw the dart and it lands in the thing.
Can I ask you a quick question? Suzi, are you super into darts? I think the reveal right now is that you are like a huge dart person.
The thing is, I'm not, but I do love them.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not good. It's just like, I love
And I will
games.
say, you did take a carpal tunnel brace off of your arm, and you didn't say why before we started.
You know what? We're going to have this is a separate podcast, and I'll tour you through my dart tattoos.
Oh, the dart cast?
The dart cast.
That's the next level up.
Yeah.
You don't just get
premium.
the Q&As and the second half of you get the dart content. None of this is in the mainline episode.
No, you just get me color announcing a dart game. 20 points. But when you throw regular darts into a corkboard, when it hits the board, you can feel it in your body. And for years, I've been like, is there like a physics explanation for this? Is there like an invisible kinetic energy thread that is attached to the dart? And when it experiences the cork, it reverberates through time and space.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, like, I can physically, like, it taps my chest, but the plastic one, it doesn't. It's like digital and plastic. And so that to me is the difference of like being in the live room. What a long fucking walk.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow, but I think now the people listening really understand it. And I believe, is darts.
Yeah. To their detriment, they understand that thing I took 72 minutes to try to explain. Anyway, kinetic energy. Yeah.
Well, it's tactile, like you feel it. And you kind of talked about it in talking about the idea of doing, a long mono scene or a long patient show where the audience is maybe not laughing, but you have them.
Yes.
You have them in the palm of your hand, like they're engaged.
Yes.
And that's most of what you need to ask of an audience, that they be engaged. Otherwise, you can make them laugh about every 10 seconds, and they're also cool with that.
Yep.
But that's a lot of pressure to make them laugh every 10 seconds.
And I think that's like one of the great things that I feel like in getting better and exercising this muscle, you realize is, once you have them, you have them. Even if you lose them, you can get them back. You don't need to keep feeding them laughs. You can, no show, that you would go see if you went to see a play or anything a good play is not one thing the whole time. It's not just heartbreak,
right.
To give an audience levels to a show, to let them rest and come back to you, to do character work that is still not negating any of your game work, but is allowing the next iteration of the game or the next way you move the scene forward to then just blossom into even more specificity, more to set you up for that next laugh to be even bigger, because you've given the audience more growth, more context, more character to build on, not just another version of that same joke, just with 2 words swapped out with 2 more specific words for this other thing now,
right.
Because that's the thing we're doing,
right. Now it's the same noun with a capital letter.
Exactly.
Yeah. I loved the phrase you used a few minutes ago, Jason, before I blacked out and became an Olympic darts
before
announcer.
The dart cast?
Fuck. You said iterating every week, and like I wanted to ask you, Craig, you play with Bob every week in Danger Room, right? Do you guys still do that?
Yeah, Dassy and I have a weekly show at Ouija's. Usually his students play, my students play, or groups that we have coached, or just younger players that we know, and then we do a set with a friend.
Do you feel like you guys are still iterating and finding new levels and layers, or do you feel a little bit like on, I don't want to call it autopilot because you're both geniuses, but some sort of autopilot?
No, it doesn't feel like autopilot. It still feels good. I think the growth is probably incremental.
Sure.
It's not like we're making huge leaps forward, but yeah. It still feels good, and it still feels exploratory.
Do you ever set goals for yourselves before a show? And do you do this in your dinosaur shows? Like, are you like, I'm going to try this tonight?
I would say no in dinosaur shows specifically. I think where I am challenging myself is in the Mantzoukas and show or some other shows that I feel like, I am consciously trying to, I think I might have even said this on the show, I am trying to play slower. I'm trying to be as specific and be as present and say half as much. You know, like I feel like I watched Stack do a week's worth of Gravid Water shows. We did Gravid Water at the Kennedy Center for a week. Every night a show rather.
Remember the Kennedy Center?
Do you remember I'm so sorry, the Trump Center, the Kennedy Trump Center, I believe it's now called. I'm sorry, it's already been razed to the ground. Okay, got it. So we did a week of shows, and by the way, what a delight to do show every night.
It's so great.
Talk about iterating on a thing and getting noticeably better, and all being able to make adjustments both large and small, like immediately almost, and feel it get better and better so quickly was very exciting. But Stack I think Brian Stack is truly a absolute genius. Miriam as well, I think, is maybe one of the funniest people I've ever improvised with. But Stack, watching Stack, especially do Gravid Water, which has its own rhythms and pace because one of the scene participants is on script, is only doing lines from a play. If you don't know the show Gravid Water, that's the setup. Somebody is on script and someone is improvising, and they don't know what the play is that the other person has memorized. And watching Stack get so into these scenes with someone who is in a play with him, and he wasn't filling the space with stuff just trying to find out where they were. He was just making simple choices of his own that were making the scenes electric to watch. And I was like, oh, there it is. That's the thing. I'm spending so much time building architecture around the person who's on script, and that's not the move at all. You know, it was awesome to watch and has been informing so much of what I've done in the couple of years since seeing it.
Do you have an example of...
I don't.
Okay.
I don't, only because I don't remember shows.
Can you make an analogous example of like building architecture around the scripted person versus a small electric choice that you make for yourself?
So I think that yes, this is I think specific to this show because it has this restriction, which is someone is on script. They can only say their next line when it kind of makes sense for the scene they're in.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I would, based on whatever they were giving me, I would try and excavate and build structure around them. Try and figure out, let's see if I can get us how quickly can I get us in the same place? Because I want to get as quickly into your scene as possible. And I feel like Stack is out there being like, this is my scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing a scene where I'm the janitor. I'm the janitor cleaning up the room you're in. You know, and then the person in the play, when they do get around to it, is giving him information. He's seamlessly weaving it into what he's doing, but nonetheless continuing to make just simple choices that are moving both of them forward.
Yeah.
That are moving both of them forward because he's moving himself forward.
Yeah, rather than treating it like a guessing game where he's trying to slot in. Right.
Rather than how can I help you, he's helping you by saying, I feel and think this.
Right. I'm a professional figure skater.
Yes. and like those are the kinds of choices that I feel like he would make that I would be like, whoa, it's so early.
What a big swing.
What a big, okay. And it is electric to watch because that tension and then its inevitable release is itself like a magic trick that you could not manufacture.
Yeah.
You know, because I think he's putting effort into something that he genuinely does not have any knowledge of where it's going to go and is just as much surprised when it finds its way together as we are.
And that technique for Gravid Water exploits what is so special in so many improv scenes, which is like, you know, golden mistakes. It's like, you know, the happy accidents, those two things shouldn't go together, but now because they have to say yes and make it work, now it's the best scene ever because you would never otherwise see that. Were you going to say something on that, Craig?
Yeah, it sounds like he's just sticking to his guns, like, and not freaking out. You know? Like he's chosen a path and he's just going to keep going down that path and incorporating everything the other person's doing. Do you feel like you are like doing more labeling of who, what, where? Or
I feel like I'm trying to build a scene for us to be in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, rather than being in the scene we are in. You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know.
We now join this world already in progress.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, rather than being like, oh, how can I help the person who's on script make their scene be more in the scene they're in. And the reality is the best version of that show is creating a third scene. Not the scene I'm doing, not the scene they've memorized, but the scene the two of us together create.
Yes.
And I think that epiphany is super helpful, because I think that is, for a lot of improvisers, the mistake they're making is trying to make the show what they are imagining it in, or make the scene rather what they are imagining in their mind for a moment, rather than really listening and reacting and incrementally creating the scene that these two people are making.
Yeah.
Or however many people are in the scene.
It can create deferent play where you're like always on your heels, kind of like playing defensively almost, like, okay, like passively, defensively, what can I do that is the right answer, versus just making strong choices and having fun sewing everything together and folding it all into the recipe.
It's like trying to put out fires rather than just taking everything as a gift. Like, you said this, I said this, which doesn't seem to make sense with this, but both those things are true somehow.
Right.
You know, we may have increased our degree of difficulty, but there's no way that we can't make both things work. And I think newer improvisers are abandoning things like the second that they feel like they don't work. And so they're constantly trying new strategies. And so over a 3-minute scene, they've tried 10 different things and they feel like none of them are working, rather than just try one thing and stick to it.
Well, and I think like exactly what you said, it's don't spend time trying to put out fires so that the scene can happen. The scene is arson. Like the scene is everybody is starting fires. You know what I mean? I think that's, you know, like, and if your MO is to put those out, then you are stopping the scene from moving forward. You need to be feeding the fire fuel, you know?
That kind of relates to something you said in your original episode, Craig, which was like that people try to talk themselves out of the given circumstances of a scene in order to make things more normal. Like our instinct is to like have things be copacetic and normal and to behave nicely, but that doesn't make for good comedy or interesting improv, and it's no fun. It's like, okay, now we're all just talking like normal people on a boring day.
Yeah, things get worse. Make things worse. Like, this is basic storytelling. Like, if Kevin's parents realized they left him home alone, they'd go back and pick him up and then be called going to France with my family. You know, he's got to be left home alone. And every Coen Brothers movie understands this, both the comedies and the dramas, of like, it's usually like somebody commits a crime, they fuck it up somehow, like more and more people get sucked into the orbit of that. You know, it's just, you know, we want to go where the danger is, but in life we're risk averse, so we want to get to a safer place, but that's not where we want to put our characters. I took like a writing class in college, and it was like the whole thing was like fall in love with torturing your main character. Like they have, in order to grow, they have to go through all. Is that
hell.
the Kurt Vonnegut rules of good writing?
I don't remember.
There's one, no matter how sweet and innocent your leading characters, make horrible things happen to them in order that the reader may see what they are made of.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, you're not as sharp as you used to be, Craig. Wow.
I have memorized Kurt Vonnegut's 7 Rules for Good Writing, which I'll have direct application to improv. So.
Let's post it on it. Yeah, I mean, can we
when
say
I say
the
memorized, I can't think of another one.
That's all right. I mean,
I meant mesmerized.
Another one is start as close to the end as possible. The reader should have enough information that they could finish the story themselves should cockroaches eat the last few pages.
Oh, that's great.
I love it.
Oh, I love that.
Let's dig into this phone note. What do you have lurking in there, taunting
It's time for a regular segment, Phone Notes.
Phone Notes.
Bum, 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 bum. Darts.
Well, I found another quote because I'm reading a new Walter Murch book.
Oh, the editor?
The editor and sound designer who's written a lot of different books on filmmaking, and his most recent one has just like a run of quotes around the bottom that are kind of like hidden there, including several by himself, which seems a little arrogant.
That's why he had to hide them at the bottom.
But hey, if you're Walter Murch, like, I get it. And this one really spoke to me. To what is dense, add clarity. To what is clear, add density.
Oh,
great.
That's great. Yeah.
Great.
And I feel like for improv, it's like some scenes are just like a little too straightforward. It's like, let's fuck this up a little bit. Like, this makes too much sense to be funny. And then other scenes are like, I have no idea what's going on. Somebody just say something that makes this
bring
this
it a
sense.
little clarity to this, a little specificity.
Yeah, we can't laugh at it if we don't know what we're watching, and there has to be something that anchors us to reality or to the ground floor so that we know where we can heighten from. Right? Like, it's like, get our feet on the ground first, then we can build a jetpack and
even if the ground doesn't look like regular ground.
Sure.
Even if the construct of the scene is a weird city kind of, the rules are this, and this. Like, it doesn't have to be a recognizable world to us. It just needs to be a defined world.
Yeah, you and I can be playing peacocks. Like, who gives a shit? Like, peacocks talk here.
The streaming service?
Yeah, we can be playing dueling streaming services.
Is this an ad?
Well worth the $5.99.
Wait a minute.
Now streaming constant darts. But whatever the world is, though, we've got to know what something is about it.
The further you depart from our reality, the more work you've created for yourself. But I'm willing to believe anything if you believe in it. Just like I can invest in Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter if the person has done the work to make me believe that. But improvisers tend to, the sillier their scene is or the further it departs from our reality, they treat it more like it's bullshit. And I would say the stupider your scene is, the more you invest in it, the funnier it's going to be.
That's when it's the best, is to watch people who absolutely are so committed and so believe in whatever weird thing they've defined as their reality, and are not exactly rolling their eyes or winking or commenting on it to the audience, but are in fact digging deeper into it. That's incredible. That's where I feel like gold is, and I feel like people are reluctant to go there because that's where you look silly, or that's where you could look like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
I don't know what this world is. I'm not sure if I know these references. You see it a lot when people do start scenes that are reference heavy for a specific, like you're saying, like a fandom or a world that exists, but then it's just, participate, because this would always happen to me where people would do scenes that were inside of worlds that I just didn't know anything about. And it's like, oh no, participate hard.
Yes.
Participate hard in their world, because your not knowing is going to be what's fun about it.
I was in a scene like this last night. Payam Banafez, one of the geniuses of our time, got pimped into being a fortune teller in a scene. And he immediately was like, okay. And it started trying to give astrology specifics. And it became very clear right away he doesn't know anything. And his scene partner clearly caught him in that. And there was that moment of mirth of wait, you don't know what Pisces is or whatever. And he was like, of course I do. And so then it started this tag run of people visiting him. And, and by the time I got in, it was like, I just want to know astrology specifics. I don't want to know my fortune. What can you tell me about my sign? And he dug in so hard and was sincere and frustrated. He's like, I'm telling you, you were born under 7 moons on the shortest week of the year. Why won't you believe me? And it was just amped, and it's that was the best scene of the show because of that, the doubling down.
I think I said this last time too, is the easy laugh is to call it out, and you can always call it out once just to highlight it, but really the deeper laughs come from making it happen more.
And that's I think the mischievous fun that only an improv show has, because what we're all enjoying is the suffering of the person who's in a scene where they very clearly don't know the specifics and are being forced to invent. That's just delightful to watch someone triumph over the discomfort of what is everybody's fear about improv, which is, I don't know what we're doing.
Right.
We don't have anything planned. And so when people, I feel like, I'm sure, talk to all of us about I could never do that. It would be my worst nightmare to be on stage and not knowing what was going to happen or not knowing what to say or anything like that. But that's what the most fun is, to watch someone who is, and not that they're struggling in any way, but is, I can see they're at a disadvantage. These people are in a Harry Potter scene, and this person has clearly entered not even knowing it's Harry Potter.
Right.
They don't even know it's Harry. They don't know who Severus Snape is.
Right.
And because I can tell, because their choices are absolutely not Harry Potter specific. Then watching them have to wrestle with it is delightful.
It's perfect. Yeah.
I remember vividly a whole scene I did with Rob Riggle once. I mean, 20 years ago, probably. And it was all about him wanting to buy a car that was called I can't remember. It was like a letter and a number. It was like the M6 or something. And he was like talking, I want to get this car, and I'm populating the car with all this nonsense and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And afterwards, he was like, that's a real car I wanted. He was like, it's like this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh, I thought we were making up like a fantasy car, because I've never heard of like a whatever it was. And it genuinely was, he started a scene about trying to buy a real car that he was thinking about buying. And I just took him on a journey of like, this is preposterous.
It's the best.
The best.
It is the theatrical version of Taskmaster. It's like, here's your limited amount of materials. Like, you have to paint with this paintbrush in your mouth. It's chopped, you guys.
Everything's chopped?
Oh, fuck.
Everything is chopped, even darts. It's effort, of like maximum effort. Like, if your execution is also great, you will look like an absolute genius, but all the audience wants is effort.
Yes.
Yeah. You're standing there with a bunch of materials in a juggling act. If you don't use them all, then it's like the audience leaves going, well, he just used the oranges, but all those like flaming sticks and bowling pins and knives were there and he never picked them up. Yeah. It's like, but every time someone throws you a new thing and you try to juggle with it, even if you drop it, it's fun. There's no failure.
Please drop it.
Please drop it.
Please drop it. Like, don't be too good.
Yeah.
As to make this seem so effortless that you're like, oh, that was slick.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I love, I think, about improv or Taskmaster or a lot of the other podcasts or stuff that I consume is it's loose shagginess. Like, what I like is to watch a little bit of I think the Coen brothers are essential at that. Like, Lebowski has such a specific, driven, forward-moving narrative, but it's so shaggy and loose, them on this adventure and them discovering all of this storyline perfectly accidentally and getting off into weird side tangents where they have to like try and figure this element out, and now but they're wrong. It's revealed that they've smashed up the wrong person's car, and now they've got to deal with that. Like, that to me is what's interesting about an improv show, is that where it goes, you just, not only are you surprised by, both on stage and off, but you get delighted by the where you end up, the reveals, every point in the story, every character moment is discovery for everybody.
Yeah.
And that is exciting and thrilling, I think.
And you only have to watch bad Coen imitations to see like what those people are missing. They're getting the notes but not the music because they're missing all of the personal quirks, And I think that's what I'm talking about of, we have this structure that's ingrained, but like I want to see each person is their own diamond. I want to see what every person has to offer that nobody else in the world does.
Do you feel like, because you still teach now, right, Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're seeing a lot of like copycat improvisers because access is so ubiquitous now?
Not so much. I mean, I see the talent is just as good as always.
That's great.
I think there's more information available. There's just, people are building on all the history that's there. People are listening to Yes Also.
That's great.
Like there's so much more information and so many more great examples and just amazing people. Like I love my students, but I just know what puts them in their head. And I think, just trying to put people in the same box, but it's interesting, like just that it always feels like that's something on every episode here, that there are the people that's like game unlocked everything for me. And then the people that are like, I do my best with it. I've had to like make my peace with it and like work within that system. But like, honestly, I like to do it more my own way.
Yeah. I mean, it's like music. Like some instruments are not, I have tried to like just noodle on drums, not for me, but I'm great on guitar and piano. Like it's, and those felt like a glove the second I touched one.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like there's same thing with like musical genres. It's like, what is your style of improv and what makes your instinct sing the loudest?
There's also something to me in regards to, I feel like a good improv ensemble is like a band.
Yeah.
You know, like there are solo, like I'm always talking about it in terms of jazz, but a frontline soloist, you know, like usually a horn player or something like that. And then the rhythm section, the drummer, the piano player, the bass player that are keeping the momentum, keeping the tempo, keeping time, keeping us moving forward. There is like it's hard. I remember, you know, I feel like when UCB was going and there was that first couple of rounds of Herald teams, they were creating the teams. They were putting the ensembles together. And like Armando especially was doing a great job. And then there was like, I think it must have been Respecto was the first group that put themselves together. And I remember there was a lot of conversation around that. Like, can they do that? What's going on? Why can't we all put our own teams together or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But there was an element of it too, which was, I remember the UCB being like, we don't want you guys to put your teams together because it'll basically be like everybody will be the same on a team. It'll just be like everybody will try and put a team together that's all like soloists, essentially, as I feel like what they were saying. And we're doing a good job creating ensembles. And I at the time, everybody was like, I don't know about that, but okay. But it really was like, you know, like trying to create a complementary ensemble of people is very difficult.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially because there's that hidden third character, which is the chemistry between people, and that's ineffable. You could put together like the perfect ensemble of a variety of different superpowers, and they could get along amazingly or hate each other, and that matters in an improv ensemble, I think.
Oh,
that like
chemistry is huge.
Yeah, chemistry, trust, the way that you do bits together, even like outside of shows, the bond that exists as people. It's like, if you don't really like each other or get along or have like, I don't know, some connective tissue between you that's like ethereal, the rest of it is for naught. Yeah. What's your next, or did you want to say anything on that, Craig?
I just know as somebody who's put Herald teams together, like, you know, leaving the room and be like, oh man, this is hot. Like these 8 people, I mean, come on. And then it just not working at all. Like you can never anticipate what personal chemistry is going to bring to it. So I do kind of like lean toward people forming their own ensembles.
I heard recently, I can't remember what scene this was in, but like there's a scene somewhere in the country that has auditions of teams. Like rather than coming to Herald auditions as a solo, you put an indie team together and you're playing for a while, and then you can audition to be a house team as a team. And they have a team audition day, and they pick 4 teams out of that, and those go on the schedule. I love that idea.
I like that as adding that to what exists now,
right?
You know, because I can also see that being difficult for people in the position of being like, oh, I guess I got to create my own incredible team in order to then in order to have access to the thing.
Yeah,
you know?
Both should exist. Because also, what happens if you move to a town and you don't know anyone or whatever? Yeah, both should exist, but I love the idea of,
especially in scenes that have like such strong indie team like scenes. Right. You know, there are like I think there are probably only a handful of cities that have such dominant main theaters and then such vibrant like throw off theaters. You know, I think that's great.
It's crazy here right now. Like the LA to me feels like an improv festival every night of the week.
Yeah,
like. It's wild.
In a way that I feel like is so thrilling and exciting because it's not that long ago that the closure of UCB, the sale of UCB, felt for a moment like, oh, is this scene going to kind of wither on the vine?
Yeah, where do we go?
Is it like, what's going to happen? And then like the diaspora of incredible improv that has grown out of that has been incredible, I think.
And the indie scene should be like the Godard quote.
Oh, here we go. And for the listener, he's not even looking at his notes app for this one.
The best way to criticize a movie is to make another movie. So, the indie scene should be in reaction to what's going on at the big time theaters, like, well, we can't do that there. We can do this then, and then that's how people invent and discover. I'll throw this out there for the group. What role, does and should Harold play in 2026?
Great question.
It's a great question. I have mixed feelings on Harold. I think as a form, I think it's so cool to learn, and I think it's so cool to like master making the most of something that feels restrictive and finding creative freedom within that and using that as a springboard for like making the work your own. All of that is so cool. I take issue with the fact that it's the same way that I took issue in college with like, why every year do we do a Shakespeare play and then something else, and every theater in the country does a Shakespeare and then like, can't we move on and innovate and stop like painting by numbers on this one thing over and over? Like, this is the only way. So I take issue with the fact that a lot of theaters and schools use the Harold model as like the way they teach and the goal and the thing and the gatekeep to the stage time. I think it should be like, my girlfriend was like, why doesn't UCB have like a Harold track and a non-Harold track?
Yeah.
Like you could just keep learning improv, or go into 2B, 3B, 4, she was like, I don't want to learn the Harold. I want to just keep learning improv, but now it's all Harold. So now now I want to quit,
I think teaching Harold as if it's the end result is a mistake.
Yes.
Like, I think it is the middle. I think what UCB, maybe a little bit different from what your girlfriend is saying. I think Harold should be taught through. Like, I think it's important and integral to have structure for people to grab onto something, to stay on rails, to have the ability to experiment and build something out that is still within a structure that they can kind of understand. But then I think the way it was, even when I came up through the system, was that Harold was like, we got there. I'm on a Harold team now. We do that every week. But the presumption was that you would break through that into the deconstruction, the movie form, just a montage form, or what was paramount when we were coming up, create your own form.
Yeah.
Do your thing. Put your spin on a show. What would that look like? And it really felt like the Harold was there to build you a safe structure to stay within, and then it's up to you. Do you want to keep learning and destroy this structure and build something unique that is your own, or do you want to stay and play in this house you've built? And for a lot of people, staying in the house they've built is the thing. I think it's a whole other group of people that are like, I need to destroy this in order to build something unique.
Yeah.
And I think the mistake is thinking that Harold is like that, the Harold or being on a team is like the end result and should be somehow codified as like the thing. When in reality, I think it is a teaching tool that is helpful to make sense of a pretty chaotic kind of art form that is without any kind of rules.
Right. And there's many forms and many simpler, more accessible forms, both for the performer and for the audience. I feel like Harold leaves the audience in the dust a lot of times, especially if it's done poorly. Unless it's in like the very best hands, it's like you just see a question mark forming over it. And it looks like people sitting through a church service that's like not their religious fervor, that they're like, brought to by their in-laws or something. Like, what are your thoughts?
I mean, similarly ambivalent. Like, I have strong thoughts, and this is because UCB just had their Harold auditions, and like this town kind of collectively just like loses its mind for about
crazy.
A month. As people prepare. And I don't know if they've cast yet, but I think they had callbacks like this week.
Callbacks happen. I don't think they've announced yet, but I don't know.
And if it's like 24 spots or whatever, like that's 24 amazing improvisers, just to get through that process means you're great. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to get put on a team with maybe people you just met this week to do a form that nobody really cares about that much. But I can think of some of the most exhilarating experiences I've had as an audience member to this day are Harold's.
Yeah.
Probably early on, but even like later, and it's just really seeing like that ensemble that is so on the same page, and like the 8 people pulling something like that off. I've also seen great mono scenes with 2 people, but that are earth-shatteringly great, but there's just something about the feeling of the chaos of a herald, like, and 8 people landing on their feet at the same time, and like something happened that night that can never be recaptured.
I agree with that 100%. I also think there's something, and let's even, like, we're saying it's the herald just because it is the herald right now, but if there was an agreed upon form that is what everyone is doing, there's also something to the fact that Herald Night is these 4 to 6 teams are all going to try and make their version of a this.
Yeah.
You know, and the audience, it's not like the audience knows, oh, it's an opening, it's 3 scenes, it's a group game. It's not, the audience doesn't know the thing, but it's like, I too remember, like, I remember when someone was like, you got to go to Herald Night right now. There's a new team called Dillinger. They're incredible. It's and I went, and it was like Lennon Parham, Zach Woods. It was all these people who were like the new generation, and they were just absolutely captivating.
Right.
And they were from the jump an incredible team, you know? And what they were doing though was a herald, which was the same as everybody else. There's something about everybody tackling the same thing. And if like, I almost feel like the negativity around the herald, I think, or maybe you can speak to this from Chicago, both of you, but I feel like it really is UCB's dogged adherence to the herald as some sort of like totemic end all be all of the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a way that is like, and how you do it, you know, has now been codified in a way that is like, you do the herald this way, blah, blah, blah. And it felt like a little bit like when I was coming up in New York, every team felt truly unique and like they had a very unique take on the herald.
Yeah.
And that was a very cool way to come up because you got to see everybody's version. Oh, I didn't know you could do it like that. Oh, the Swarm does it really slow and then they jam it all at the end. Or, you know, like you really got to see people. It is like watching, it is cover versions.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's being given the same songbook, and it's like, learn these songs, but don't sound like them doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Use your own instruments to do your own spin. I think when you said it's like the end all be all, the totemic thing, I think, and the gatekeepiness of it, where it's like, it used to be kind of, that was the one way to get on stage. All of that creates this like psychosis that happens around audition time, which that's part of what I dislike. But what I love is the form itself can be fucking awesome. And especially because it's restrictive, it's like, if you can use that vocabulary and create something transcendent, you have pulled off a magic trick. You look like
I want to see a team like just infuse it with their own personalities. You know, the collective personality of that team. I think like that's what we really respond to. I wanted to say that talking about other forms, I was at Improv Amsterdam a few weeks ago, and at the closing night party, this group came up to me and they're like, "Hey, I don't know if you remember us. We were part of Berlin Comedy Cafe. You did Das Improv here a few years ago." I was like, yeah, I remember that. You guys are great. And they were like, so you guys did the closing show, which was all the teachers. It was me and my wife, Carla, and the Bozos, Will, Sarah, and Jim, a couple ladies from London, and the 2 brothers who run
Josh and Noah.
Josh and Noah. And so like we just needed to come up with some form for 9 people, like in 5 minutes talking backstage. And we're like, what should we call it? The Governor, somebody yelled. And so I came out to introduce the show of like, hi, we're going to perform The Governor for you. And I think we had like prescribed like what the first 3 scenes are. Maybe because we were 9, we're like, we'll do 3, 3, 3, and then we'll just see where it goes from there. And they said, so you did The Governor, and it's now the standard form at Berlin Comedy Cafe. We've ditched the Herald. Like everybody teaches The Governor. You're credited for it. I was like, I don't even remember what the fuck The Governor is.
I love it.
But I love that it's now the standard form there.
But that's what it is. It's like it people want to have something they can latch on to that's loose enough to be that they can range around in it. But I think and has enough guidance, is narrow enough to keep moving through it and not get lost.
I have two thoughts. One is something that I love that I hope is a reason that, or a good aspect of Herald that is a reason I want it to stay relevant and that I want theaters to still teach it and have Herald teams, is that I do think it keeps us honest. It keeps improvisers from becoming lazy, because you have to work it. You have to rehearse with your group. Nobody can just like walk on until you've done it for a while and gotten good at it. Nobody on day one can just walk on stage and do a Herald. And I worry that without forms like that demand rigor and work, and innovation, that, everything devolves into teams that don't practice and people just walking on and getting a suggestion and going. It's bits on stage.
It's bits on stage. And what I think the Herald does as a form that I think is very useful. Now, I think the more interesting question is, where does game lie inside of this?
Sure.
Because to me, what I love about the Herald, what I feel like almost no other forms use in the same way or force you to use in the same way, is returning to scenes. Is you have to do this scene 3 times. Some version of this you have to return to. And I feel like the Herald, at its best, encourages character development in a way that I think is exciting and important. Now, I will say, I think UCB's version of teaching the game has taken the game away from character development and can oftentimes make it feel like the game is some unknowable math equation that we in a scene are kind of searching for. Like, what is that game that is out there we need to find, rather than, the game is just you and I in this scene,
right. And the inverse of that happens also, which is like if we land on a game that we both know and are great at, then the character development suffers because we stay playing the surface joke of the thing rather than deepening.
And that's so to me, what I really like about the Herald is, at its best, it allows people to understand, like, I need to not just move the jokes forward, I need to move this person forward, this character. I need to move this character through the scenes, not just, wouldn't it be clever if instead this time I was a doctor who was afraid of blood? That's going to be
Craig
the same.
Liked it.
Yeah, by the way,
you got a big laugh.
That from
I already
episode.
know where it's going.
Lights up.
We now take you to a dart bar.
Hey, welcome to the dart bar.
Don't worry, Doc. These are fake darts. You're not going to get any blood, okay?
Scene.
Did we get on the Herald team?
Yeah. I'd love to see a 2-person Herald. I've done a 3-person several times.
I remember Kurt Braunohler did a 1-man Herald for a long time, like for a while as a show, and it was great.
He's fantastic.
So funny.
What a silly genius.
Absolute goofball.
Yeah.
And one of the most delightful people to watch.
Did you have more thoughts on that? Like when you said your intro to that was where, like, what place does the Herald have in 2026?
I mean, I want to see the joyousness in it. Like, that to me, like, the more people are on stage, like, I just want to see that through line running through everybody's brains. And I want to see these disparate people who might not have been friends other than the fact that they were thrown into this band together. And I want it to feel like every scene is our scene, the 8 of us, not like, well, there's Suzi and Jason's scene.
They have to be next, you mean? Like, because it's 2A, like, that's what we're doing. Meaning it's too prescribed.
I mean, I love it when, you initiate my second beat for me. You weren't in the first beat with me and Suzi. You know where to take it. I like to be led by my teammates,
Shared responsibility for the whole piece.
Like, it's a group piece.
I agree. Can I ask you a question? Because I feel like you are so much more tapped into teaching and what's going on. Otherwise, other than the governor, is there
my standard?
Is there a form that you feel like could or should replace the Herald in that and still hold that same kind of that same baseline? Everybody should learn this, because if you learn this, you have learned these 5 sets of skills. You've learned these 5 tools. If you can do a herald, you can basically make connections, make choices, find the game. There's it utilizes the tools
pulling from an opening,
that
making
you will then be able to use when you are structureless, that you can then have as your toolbox for when you don't need the herald anymore, because the herald is training wheels in a lot of ways. Is there something you feel like you would rather see taught or see implemented?
No, the herald is the best.
It is. But
I can't think of one that scratches all those itches.
Right.
Yeah,
because it's so dense. There is so much. Yeah,
I feel like teams could and probably would have more successful, more funnier shows without the restrictions of the herald, because I think teams get caught up in, or students get caught up in, what's hard about the herald. But that's what you need to learn.
That's what's good about it.
That's what's good about it. I think if they were given too much freedom, or if we were given too much freedom at the time, we would just have had funnier shows, but we wouldn't have gotten better. Or we wouldn't have gotten better as quickly, maybe, is what it is. I'm not sure.
I do like the party as something to teach people for more relationship-based. It's still 3-beat structure. It's like I like to do it with a group of 8, just 4 scenes of 4 2-person pairings at the same party, and then you pair off with somebody new for your second beats, you pair off with somebody new for your third beats, and then you can start doing crosses and walk-ons in the third beats, and you build to a big group scene together.
So I love that.
It's still got that forward momentum of 3-beat structure. Each beat is a little shorter than the previous one. You have a feeling like 8 character arcs are coinciding in the last scene together.
Well, you also have you're pointing everybody towards a more satisfying or an easier opt-in for connections if they're all at the same party.
I think, is that the form that Ryan and I did with you when you were coaching Lake Fantasy and we sat in with you guys over at that theater on Melrose?
Yeah.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
That was my first exposure to that, and it was great. It felt exciting enough to do in the moment, but also easy enough that you weren't like trapped thinking of a second beat or whatever. It's like a little more organic.
You might be with anyone in your second beat, so you're on the sidelines paying close attention to what's going on in every scene. I think in herald, people's brain tends to wonder, it's like, well, they're good in this, of like, man, what am I going to do?
What's my
What's a heighten that's not space?
What else happened in the opening? What else?
Right.
Like I remember, like, and it is all muscle building. Like I remember there being a time where I realized, as late as possible in the show, I still remember the whole opening. Like my like the strengthening of the muscle to be able to recall all of the stuff that had happened in the opening, or all of the stuff that had happened, like being able to make, when I was able to make better, stronger connections, was when I just had better recall, when I had strengthened the muscle to remember everybody's things and the opening, and these 3 things haven't been used. What if I can make a connection and use something that hasn't been used from the opening? Boy, that's going to be great. But now I'm just on the back line thinking about all this stuff.
Right.
I also think that Armando/AskCat can be a format to showcase the full range of what you can do also. I think that's also been somewhat codified, where every scene has about the same rhythm as the previous scene, but you're pulling from an opening, which is a monologue. But I think variety is key there, of like lengths of scenes, pace of scene, 2-person, 3-person, group, tag out heavy, leave it the fuck alone. Like, so I think over the course, and then scenes don't have to come back,
but they often do. Especially, but that's where I feel like those formats reward senior players.
Yeah.
Like that looseness or that freedom, it requires, I feel like, people who are good enough to be able to like put those structural elements in themselves rather than have them be there to govern them.
Does that make sense? Big picture.
Yeah.
There's tree players and there's forest players.
Yeah.
You got to be a forest player, like, and think about how are we resolving the show, and like, what are the loose ends that have not been paid off yet?
It occurs to me like this is the way we came through, so it's the way we know that we learned and mastered herald and then moved on to like AskCat and stuff. But would there be merit to doing it the inverse, since ASCAT is a little more open and free form? ASCAT, Armando, whatever, pulling from monologues and doing scenes, and they can come back or not, is a lot less balls to juggle than a Herald. Why not do that first, and then when you're a senior player and you have all these like basics in play, then you challenge yourself with the harder backflip?
Yeah, it doesn't take that long to learn the 3-beat structure of Herald, but then, the thematic elements of it are much larger and require so much more thoughtfulness. And I think beginning players of it's just way too many plates for them to keep spinning, to keep track of.
Second beats are really hard for people. And that, even just that, I've watched people take years to feel like they have a handle on in their own brain. Like, where do I take this, or what do I do with it?
I think that's okay. I think it should take years.
Yeah.
I don't think we should make it easier. I don't think the thing is, make it easier for them to just have more fun.
Right.
No, this is hard. This should be hard. It should be hard to get better. Not in a punishing way or anything like that, but in the same way that I would be like, I would rather teach you all the chords and notes on a guitar and then hear what you come up with than teach you how to play a song. Mm-hmm. Do this, do this, do this, do this. Now you know the song. Mm-hmm. Now you can play that song. That's all you know, though. I teach you all the notes. It's going to take you a lot longer to figure out all the notes, learn everything. Then you'll be able to play any of the songs.
But basically, Herald is a song. It's just a song that happens to include every chord and note. So it's building all you're memorizing.
I don't
this
feel
thing,
like
but
Herald is a song. I do feel like it's a collection of tools.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a way. And I think it sucks, and I think it has to suck.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a thing that unlocks improv for everybody if you did away with the Herald. You know what I mean? It's deeply flawed, but it still is something, it is a crucible that you have to get through. Because on the other side, for better or worse, even if it's taken you years, which I think for all of us, it took us years. It took my Herald team years to get. We were a fine Herald team doing it, but it took us years to get very good at it.
Yeah.
And that was after years of classes. So I think it should be very difficult, and it should be frustrating afterwards. And I'm mad. I'm annoyed. And we were mad and we were annoyed. I don't think it's the form's fault. I think it's the struggle is difficult, and now the form is flawed. I don't necessarily think of the form as a performable thing. You know what I mean? It's fun to go watch. I love Herald Night, all that, but it isn't to me, it's the thing. It is the learning of the scales. It's the knowledge that allows you to then play everything else, do any other thing.
I do remember those shows of just shitting the bed entirely. It's been a long time of there's been shows over the last couple of years that I've been, I was kind of disappointed. I did not do my best work, I learned a little bit from that, but those shows where you really are just fuck.
Yeah.
And collectively, you just look around the room of man, we all let each other down.
And then you've got to get notes and sit through 30 minutes of,
God.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
But there is also the growth of fuck, that sucked. Why did that suck? Mm-hmm. And then a year later, fuck, that sucked. It sucked because of this and this, and the shows aren't much better, but the period in which what went wrong is shorter. You don't need to be told. I know I fucked that up. We should have started here in the scene. Oh fuck, okay. And you are learning this thing slowly over time on your feet. Think about it this way, what I was saying earlier. If everybody would get so much better if Herald Night was 3 nights a week.
Yeah.
Everybody would get so much better if you were doing it all the time.
Well, when I coached Bangarang, we had 2 practices a week, and Herald, so they were doing it 3 times a week, and they got fucking phenomenal.
We got the period in which we went from being a perfectly fine team on Herald Night to one of the best teams on Herald Night was the period in which we did 2 rehearsals a week and Herald Night.
Yeah.
And we had 2 different coaches. So they were working on different things with us.
That's great.
And so that felt like, and it was a true period we saw meaningful results.
For part 2 of this episode, go to yesalso.supercast.com. If you like this podcast and you want double the content, head over to yesalso.supercast.com and subscribe. You can also help us out for free by subscribing to us on YouTube and talking us up to your improv communities. If you have a question that you'd like us to answer in one of our Q&A episodes, or a topic that you think would make a great bonus episode, put it in a 5-star review. If you're a theater who would like to host us for a live recording and improv show, let us know at yesalsopod@gmail.com. A very special thanks to our producer, Ryan Rosenberg, audio and video editor, Brian Kessler, and Britt Faye, who does our marketing. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. No, we won't, Suzi. That's not how podcasts work. They won't even see us. They will listen to us, so it's actually the opposite of both things you said. Thanks for listening, and you will listen to us next week. Maybe. We don't know.